What is happening, great people? It's Zangieff, your Russian mate from Russia. And right now I'm in the provincial town of Engels, and I'm about to show you the typical flat in the typical 9-storied block of flats. Built in the early 80s, it is not some kind of a Stalinka or Khrushchevka house. This is called Leningrad type house, one of. So initially such houses were built in Leningrad, which is now known as St. Petersburg, and then within the whole Russia, such types of houses were built as well. I believe it would be interesting for you to see the premises first and to see the playing ground for the kids. And yeah, by the way, I'm standing right on it. I'm standing on the roof of the garages. And I'm not joking, guys. Yesterday when I was here, so many children, about 20 kids, were playing here, running, jumping on the roofs. So yeah, that's exactly how the Russian kids are raised. Just take a look at these numerous pipes. This is absolutely alright for this town, and these pipes are present almost in every neighborhood. If you would want to know more about this, please check my video about the provincial life in the town of Engels. Link will be in the description. I wouldn't say that playing here is too bad, actually. Maybe a bit risky, yeah, because you can fall off the roof. But as a person who was raised in the late 90s, early 2000s myself, I can tell you that even in Moscow, yeah, I had quite the same childhood. By the way, this place in the house, which I'm about to show you, is the place where my wife was raised, and she's absolutely a normal person. Yeah, so don't believe any stereotypes. As for the playgrounds, there is actually one present here. I'm about to show it to you. And yeah, childhood here is quite interesting. Take a look at the variety of toys. Take a look at this slide, and what an interesting ladder. As my wife says, actually nowadays kids are quite lucky because they have these. Back in the 90s when my wife was raised, the benches could be missing, these things could be missing because some guys were detaching this and then getting money for scrap metal. I really want everybody who is watching this video, yeah, and probably those people from the provincial parts of Russia who is watching this video, to understand that despite me being a Muscovite and being born and raised in Moscow, believe me, the playgrounds in my childhood were like this. I myself am coming not from a rich or even middle class family, so my childhood experience, by the way, was quite similar. I bet 50 Cent would be happy to see his tag here. In front of the house you can see this strange entrance, which is leading underground. And you can think, is this a prison or what? Because there's a lock here and a really strange door. However, actually this way leads just to the storage rooms. So the people living here in this house have an access down there and they can store their stuff. If we are talking about the house entrance, it is quite typical for almost any 9-storied building built in the USSR, in any town, any city. At first sight, it can be a bit strange for you to see two different doors, like where should you go, left or right. But actually there is only one entrance, and this door leads to the garbage storage room. So you may see that there is a lot of litter here, and this is a pipe that goes up to the top floor, and people on any floor can throw away their trash without exiting the house. Of course, on the one hand, this is an advantage because, especially in the cold times, you don't have to dress up and go outside. But at the same time, you should understand that storing garbage like this can lead to the spread of rats or other bad diseases. That's why in the houses built in the modern Russia, these are prohibited. Right after entering the typical apartment, you can expect to see these things. First of all, this is not a wardrobe. I'm not sure how to call it, maybe a closet. But usually the coats are not stored inside, but like on the wall, and the boots, yeah, they have a special place right under the coats. Another thing is a mirror. Yeah, how can you not have a mirror before exiting the house? Yeah, so you should be able to take a look at how gorgeous you are. And another interesting detail, if the wall in the hall has enough space, then as well you may see some decorations. Usually it can be just paintings or the photos here exactly. You may see some embroidery made by my wife some years ago. Right now we are entering the living room, and usually this is the biggest room in the flat. Because the main purpose of this room is just to watch TV set and to have some guests. Having guests nowadays, and especially in the USSR times, was a big event. Even if you are having just a couple of guests, yeah, you need to cover the table to cook several salads and other dishes. That is why just sitting on the kitchen is not applicable. You need to have some space, and as well, of course, it is not alright to sit in the silence. So even if you are not watching the TV set, it should be working. Well, now it is not working because I'm making a video, but anyway. But I guess the biggest and the most important part of the interior of such rooms is not a sofa or the carpet on the wall, which actually is not present here, but the wardrobe slash cupboard. Usually it is as wide as one of the walls, and I call it wardrobe slash cupboard because you may see that there is a closed part and as well an open one with some cups, by the way. Even before taking a closer look at what is inside, I wanted to say that usually these cupboards have some glassware, some icons, some books, and some photos of the relatives of either the kids or those who are already gone. And by the way, I was 100% correct. Because here actually you can see exactly each item that I just named. Another interesting item from the Soviet times, and I suppose that every kid who was raised in the 90s like myself would remember this one as well, is this type of table. I have no idea how to call this in English, some kind of a table transformer. Yeah, but there are a lot of different table transformers, but this exact model is kind of really unique for the Soviet times. Usually this table is not used in the regular life, and it is only used when you have several guests, yeah, with whom you need to sit at the living room. It is really comfortable, or I would call it minimalistic, yeah, because of two things. First of all, take a look at how it looks before it is transformed and after. And as you may see, you can actually store something inside the table when it is folded. And whatever the size of the flat is, it's really hard for me to imagine any flat without balcony. Well, this exact balcony is quite spacious and comfortable, by the way, because of the owner not storing everything on the balcony like many people do. Sometimes you cannot even walk in the balcony because it is so messy here and you cannot even find a place to place your foot. Now we are entering the bedroom. Yeah, this used to be the room of my wife many years ago. Right now, this is the room of my mother-in-law because my wife has moved and she's living with me, yeah, for several years. But anyway, many things were left unchanged here, and you may see that the wardrobe, yeah, looks quite the same as in the living room. Once again, the wardrobe and the cupboard. Here's another interesting details. In the end of the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s, it was quite common to buy many encyclopedias for the kids, and here you may see some. These are about like everything. The geology, ecology, astronomy, biology, chemistry, physics, like everything. Back in the days when I was a small kid, in my flat, we as well used to have a lot of encyclopedias, so I see this as once again something quite stereotypical or widespread. I would say that this room is, yeah, a perfect combination of what used to be common in the USSR, in the 90s, and in the modern life. Because once again, this apartment has been refurbished partially, and you may see this kind of wall covering. They don't have anything in common with the USSR, these are modern ones. But anyway, if we take a look at the wardrobe, if we take a look at the floor covering, yeah, once again, there is a mixture of different generations. Now let's take a look at the restroom, and by the way, this is not just one room, but usually these are two different rooms, because one is for the sink and the bathtub, and another one is just for the toilet. As for the toilet, actually it is quite a drawback for me, by the way, because I'm a big guy, and here you may see that it is so narrow, believe me. I feel quite not comfortable here. And as for the bathtub, by the way, it is quite long, so I think that having a bath here for me would be more or less alright. And two another items are, first of all, the sink with a mirror and the washing machine. Yeah, so that is all you need in such a room. The apartment is not that big, but it is full of details and surprises. For example, guess what this is? Guys, this is just a bar. Yeah, this is the bar that you use to make pull-ups, and this is quite traditional as well. I'm not sure how many families have this in their flats, but for example, the flat where I lived, we had one. The flat of my neighbor, he as well had one. So for me, this is quite spread as well. Because of not having enough space to store Usually in the Russian or Soviet apartments there were such things as entresol. In English I guess that would be something like a mezzanine. So this is an extra space for storage that you have right under your ceiling. The standard kitchen in the Soviet houses is not that big. Take a look around me. I'm surrounded with a lot of stuff, and that's it. This is the end of the room. That is exactly why I said that having guests in the kitchen is not appropriate, because take a look at the size of the table that can fit here. As for some widespread iconic things in the kitchen, I would say that these can be the clock on the wall. By the way, we in our modern flat have this as well. And as you may have seen, actually almost every room in this apartment has this. Another thing would be the frying pan / oven that uses gas. I'm not sure whether there were any exceptions, but I suppose that back in the USSR, 100% of the houses had gas as the source of power for frying pans and the ovens. There are pros and cons of using the gas because, first of all, it is cheap, at least in Russia. But unfortunately, sometimes you can see some news about gas exploding in the block of flats, and it's not only about one flat, sometimes the whole house can get destroyed. And as for the design overall, I wouldn't say that it is Soviet, because the refurbishment here was made in about 2004, 2005. So this doesn't look quite modern, but anyway, this is something you expect to see in the house of an elderly elderly people. I guess there are two last things that I would mention. First of all, the small TV set. I suppose that every kitchen has the TV, because otherwise it would be quite quiet and boring. Yeah, so at least a little one, but should be in place. And another thing, by the way, not quite used by the youngsters nowadays, is the calendar on the wall. So myself as a representative of the young people, well, not young already, like 27, but anyway, yeah, I use my phone to know what the date is. But many people still use these wall ones, and they keep it up to date, so you can actually see when this video was made. So guys, that is it for today. We hope that you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section.
Пока-пока.
Thank you very much for watching. It was Zangieff, your Russian made from Russia. See you next time. Bye bye.